$3 latte instead of systemic issues like stagnant wages and rising costs. Forget the gurus telling you to make six figures to save six figures, when you're out here trying to figure out how to make rent and still eat real food. Today we're breaking down a budgeting system that actually works in the real world. Not in theory. Not in personal finance textbooks written by people who've never worried about overdraft fees. But in real life, with rent due next week and irregular income that keeps you guessing, surprise bills that pop up like unwanted relatives, and maybe just a few bucks in your checking account. This system isn't just about crunching numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about gaining clarity over your money, taking control of your financial chaos, and building a life you can actually manage, and eventually love. I'm going to show you the flex budget system that has helped thousands of people go from financial stress to financial confidence, regardless of their income level. So grab a notebook, open your banking app, and let's dive into budgeting for real life. Let me guess what happened the last time you tried to budget. You downloaded some app or found a template online. You spent hours categorizing every possible expense. You set ambitious savings goals. You felt motivated and organized. Then week 2 hit. Your car needed new tires. Your phone bill was higher than expected. Your friend had a birthday dinner you couldn't skip without looking broke. Suddenly, your perfect budget was in shambles and you felt like a failure. But here's the truth. You didn't fail. The system failed you. Most people hate budgeting, and it's not because they're lazy, undisciplined, or bad with money. It's because most budgeting methods are built for predictable incomes and ideal situations that don't exist for most of us. Traditional budgets assume you earn the exact same amount every month. Your expenses are completely predictable. You have money left over after paying bills. You never have emergencies or unexpected costs. You can stick to rigid categories no matter what life throws at you. But real life looks like this. Your hours get cut some weeks. Your side hustle income varies wildly. Your kid gets sick and needs medicine. Your friend needs help with gas money. Netflix raises their prices again. Your landlord decides to renovate and you need to move. Traditional budgeting methods treat money like a math problem when it's actually a life management system. They focus on restriction instead of intention. They make you feel guilty for being human. The result? You quit budgeting altogether and go back to hoping for the best while expecting the worst. But what if I told you there's a different way? A budgeting approach that bends with your life instead of breaking when life gets complicated? That's exactly what we're covering today. The flex budget system is built on one simple principle. Your budget should work for your life, not the other way around. Instead of rigid categories with fixed dollar amounts, we use 3 flexible zones that expand and contract based on what's actually in your bank account and what's actually happening in your life. Here are the 3 zones. Survival zone. This covers the bare minimum to keep your life functional. Rent, basic food, transportation, essential utilities. If you can only afford this zone some months, that's not failure. That's being responsible with what you have. Stability zone. This adds breathing room and forward planning. Emergency fund contributions, debt payments, subscriptions you actually use, and small savings goals. This zone helps you stop living in constant financial emergency mode. Growth zone. This is where your money starts working for you instead of just paying for your past and present. Investments, side business expenses, bigger goals, and yes, fun money that doesn't come with guilt. Here's what makes this system different. Each zone has categories, not fixed amounts that make you feel guilty when you can't meet them. You fill the zones in order like stacking building blocks. You adjust weekly based on what's actually in your account, not what you wish was there. It's income flexible, life-friendly, and completely shame-free. You can succeed at this system even in your worst financial months. Let me walk you through each zone in detail with real examples you can actually use. The survival zone is your financial foundation. You start here every single time you budget, regardless of how much money you have. This zone answers one critical question. What's the absolute minimum I need to keep my life functional this week? Survival zone includes housing, rent, mortgage, basic utilities that keep the lights on. Food, groceries for actual meals, not restaurant food or convenience items. Transportation, gas, bus fare, or the absolute minimum to get to work. Essential utilities, water, electricity, heat, the ones they'll shut off if you don't pay. Critical medicine, prescriptions you literally cannot skip. What's not in the survival zone? Streaming services, gym memberships, eating out, new clothes, non-essential subscriptions, Entertainment. Real life example. Let's say you're working with $800 this week. Your survival zone might look like rent portion $300, groceries $60, gas $40, phone bill $50, utilities $75, total $525. You've covered survival with $275 left over. That's a win even if it doesn't feel like much. The psychology behind starting with survival. When you know your absolute basics are covered, you make better decisions with the rest of your money. You're not spending from a place of panic or scarcity. You're spending from a place of security. Pro tips for optimizing your survival zone. Meal plan ruthlessly. Rice, beans, eggs, and seasonal vegetables can feed you well for very little money. Shop your pantry first. Use what you have before buying more. Compare utilities. Some companies offer payment plans or reduced rates for low-income households. Transportation hacks. Bike when possible, carpool, combine trips. Here's the most important part. If some months you can only afford the survival zone, that's not budgeting failure. That's life. You're not broken and you're not behind. You're being responsible with the resources you have. The goal isn't to stay in survival zone forever. The goal is to have a foundation that keeps you stable while you work toward the other zones. Once your survival zone is covered, you move to the stability zone. This is where you start building breathing room in your financial life. Instead of just surviving paycheck to paycheck, you begin creating buffers and plans. The stability zone isn't about luxury, it's about predictability and peace of mind. Stability zone includes mini emergency fund. Even $10 or small weekly amounts add up to real security. Debt payments. Minimum payments plus a little extra when possible. Subscriptions you actually use. That music streaming service you listen to daily. Weekly personal allowance. Money for small wants without guilt. Sinking funds. Small amounts for predictable future expenses. Let's break down sinking funds. These are mini savings accounts for expenses you know are coming. Car maintenance fund. $20 per week equals $240 when your brakes need replacing. Christmas/holiday fund. $15 per week equals $780 for gifts without credit card debt. Medical fund. $10 per week equals $520 for unexpected doctor visits. Phone replacement fund. $8 per week equals $416 when your phone inevitably breaks. Real life stability zone example. You have $300 left after covering survival needs. Emergency fund. $50. Extra debt payment. $75. Sinking funds. $60. Personal allowance. $40. Useful subscription. $12. Buffer/miscellaneous. $53. Tools that make stability zone easy. Digital envelopes. Apps like in-app, EveryDollar or Mint. Automatic savings. Set up automatic transfers every payday. Physical envelopes. Cash in labeled envelopes if you're more visual. Separate savings accounts. One account for each sinking fund. The transformation that happens in stability zone. Your relationship with money starts to change. Instead of constantly reacting to financial emergencies, you begin anticipating and preparing for them. That $240 in your car fund means a brake repair is inconvenient, not devastating. Common stability zone mistakes. Trying to fund too many categories at once. Setting amounts too high and then feeling guilty when you can't meet them. Skipping the emergency fund because other goals seem more exciting. Not celebrating small wins like reaching your first $100 in savings. The mindset shift. In survival zone, you're asking, can I afford this? In stability zone, you're asking, is this part of my plan? That's the difference between reactive and intentional money management. Welcome to the growth zone, where the magic happens. This is where you transition from managing money to building wealth, from surviving to thriving. But let's be clear. Growth zone money is not about get-rich-quick schemes or risky investments. It's about consistent, intentional choices that compound over time. Growth zone categories. Investments. Index funds, retirement accounts, even small amounts. Education. Courses, books, certifications that increase your earning potential. Side business expenses. Tools, marketing, inventory for your side hustle. Bigger savings goals. House down payment, dream vacation, car upgrade. Fun goals. experiences and purchases that genuinely improve your quality of life. Investment basics for beginners. You don't need thousands to start investing. There are various apps that let you invest spare change. Even $25 per month in an index fund becomes $3,600 after 10 years, assuming 7% annual growth. Education investments that pay off. Online courses in high-demand skills. Professional certifications in your field. Books and podcasts that expand your knowledge. Networking events and conferences. Side business growth. Maybe you're selling crafts online, tutoring students, or offering services. Growth zone money can fund better equipment or tools. Marketing and advertising. Inventory for products. Professional development. Real-life growth zone example. You have $200 left after covering survival and stability. Monthly investment, $75. Online course, $50. Side business supplies, $40. Fun goal vacation fund, $35. The compound effect. Growth zone isn't just about the money you put in. It's about the opportunities that money creates. That $50 course might lead to a promotion worth $5,000 per year. That $75 monthly investment becomes $180,000 over 30 years. Common growth zone mistakes. Jumping to growth zone before stability zone is solid. Putting all growth money into risky investments. Choosing growth activities based on what others are doing instead of your own goals. Not tracking which growth investments are actually paying off. The mindset shift. In growth zone, you're not just spending money, you're deploying capital. You're making strategic decisions about your future. You start thinking like an investor in your own life. Real-life budgeting has to bend with your actual life, not some perfect scenario that exists only in finance textbooks. Here's how to make the flex budget system stick. Budget weekly, not monthly. Life changes too fast for monthly budgets. Every Sunday, look at what's coming in this week and allocate it to your 3 zones. Use the zones like water buckets. Fill survival zone first, completely. Then fill stability zone. Then growth zone. Some weeks you might only fill survival. That's success, not failure. Review without judgment. Your budget is data, not a report card. If you overspent on food, ask, why? Maybe you need a bigger food budget, or maybe you need better meal planning. Adjust and move forward. Choose tools you actually enjoy. Spreadsheets work for some people. Physical envelopes work for others. Find apps or methods that don't feel like punishment. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Every week you successfully cover your survival zone is a win. Every dollar in your emergency fund is progress. Every month you don't go into debt is success. This system works because it starts with your reality. It doesn't assume you have money you don't have. It doesn't ignore the chaos of real life. It gives you a framework that adapts instead of breaks. You don't need perfection. You need a system that works when life is messy, money is tight, and the future feels uncertain. This is budgeting for real life. Start with survival, build stability, and grow into the future you deserve. Welcome to Worth the Climb, the channel where we break down the climb to financial peace into simple, doable steps. If you're watching this, you're probably tired of feeling like you're just surviving. Tired of worrying every time a debit alert hits. Tired of watching your friends post vacation photos while you're calculating whether you can afford groceries this week. And more than anything, you're ready to build a financial life you're proud of. But here's what's probably running through your mind right now. Easy for you to say, I'm starting with nothing. No savings. No investments. Maybe even debt that keeps you up at night. Maybe you've tried budgeting apps before and gave up after a week. Maybe you've watched other financial advice videos that made you feel worse because they assumed you already had money to work with. I get it. I've been there. And here's the truth. You don't need to be rich to start. You don't need a finance degree. You don't even need to understand complicated investment terms. You just need the right plan and the willingness to take it one step at a time. Today we're walking through the exact steps beginner money plan that has helped thousands of people go from financial stress to financial confidence, no matter where they started from. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap that you can start implementing today, even if you only have $5 or 1,000 Nigerian nairas to your name. The very first step to building wealth is simple but often skipped. Know your numbers. And no, I don't just mean knowing that you make $2,000 or 150,000 Nigerian nairas a month. I mean really knowing your complete financial picture. First, your income. How much do you make every month after taxes? If you're self-employed or have a regular income, what's your average over the last 6 months? Include everything: your main job, side hustles, that money your aunt sends you occasionally. Second, your expenses. And this is where it gets real. How much do you spend on rent or housing costs, food and groceries, transportation, phone and internet bills, subscriptions, debt payments, and everything else? Third, the gap. Are you overspending, breaking even, or do you have money left over that just disappears? Here's why most people skip this step. It's uncomfortable. Looking at your spending can feel like stepping on a scale after the holidays. You know, it might not be pretty, but you need to know where you stand. Try this tracking method. For the next 30 days, track every single penny you spend. I don't care if it's 50 Nigerian nairas for bus fare or $3 for coffee. Write it down immediately, either in a notebook, your phone's notes app, or use a simple app. Pro tip: take a photo of every receipt and review them weekly. Set a phone reminder for Sunday evenings to categorize your spending into 3 buckets: essentials, rent, food, transport; wants, entertainment, dining out; and goals, savings, debt payments. Common mistake to avoid: don't try to change your spending habits while you're tracking. Just observe. You're gathering intelligence, not judging yourself. At the end of the month, ask yourself, what story do these numbers tell about my priorities? Where is my money actually going versus where I thought it was going? Remember, you can't change what you don't confront. And clarity is the foundation of control. Once you know your numbers, it's time to give every single dollar, naira, or cedi a job before you spend it. Welcome to the Zero-Based Budget, the game changer that stops money from mysteriously disappearing. What zero-based actually means: it doesn't mean you spend everything down to zero. It means that your income minus all your planned expenses equals zero. Every dollar has an assignment before it hits your bank account. Here's a framework to start with: the 50/30/20 rule. 50% for essentials: rent, utilities, groceries, minimum debt payments, transportation. 30% for wants: dining out, entertainment, hobbies, shopping. 20% for goals: extra debt payments, emergency fund, savings, investments. But here's the reality check. This might not work for your situation right now. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, your essentials might be taking up 80% of your income. That's okay. The point is to be intentional about every percentage. Let me walk you through creating your first zero-based budget. Week 1. List all your fixed expenses, the ones that don't change month to month. Rent, insurance, loan payments, subscriptions. Add these up. Week 2. Estimate your variable expenses: groceries, gas, entertainment. Use your tracking data from step 1. Week 3. Assign amounts to your goals. Even if it's just $25 or 5,000 Nigerian nairas total, something goes toward your future. Week 4. Test it. Live by your budget for 1 week and see what happens. Here's the envelope method for beginners. Take cash for your variable expenses and put them in labeled envelopes or jars. When the food envelope is empty, you're done buying food for the month. It's old school, but it works because cash is tangible. Digital envelope method. Use separate savings accounts or apps, or even just multiple bank accounts to create virtual envelopes. Common budgeting mistakes: making it too complicated. Start with broad categories, not 47 different line items. Being too restrictive. If you budget $0 for fun, you'll quit by day 3. Not planning for irregular expenses. Your car will need maintenance, you will get invited to weddings. The secret sauce: build in a miscellaneous category of 5 to 10% for things you forgot or unexpected small expenses. This prevents your budget from breaking the first time something doesn't go according to plan. Remember, your first budget will be wrong, and that's perfect. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness and improvement. Life is unpredictable, and Murphy's Law is real. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong, usually at the worst possible time. Your phone screen cracks the day before rent is due. Your car breaks down when you're already tight on cash. A family member needs help with medical bills. That's why step 3 is building what I call a breathing room fund, your mini emergency fund. Let's be realistic about what this looks like when you're starting out. Personal finance experts love to say, save 6 months of expenses. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that advice is about as helpful as telling someone to swim across the ocean when they're drowning. Start with micro goals. Week 1. Save $25 or 5,000 Nigerian nairas. Month 1. Save $100 or 20,000 Nigerian Nairas. Month 3. Save $300 or 60,000 Nigerian Nairas. Month 6. Save $500 or 100,000 Nigerian Nairas. Why these small amounts matter. That $100 can cover an Uber when your car won't start. That 20,000 Nigerian Nairas can handle a minor phone repair. It's not about covering every possible emergency. It's about covering the small ones so they don't become financial disasters. Where to keep your emergency fund. High-yield savings account, separate from your checking. Money market account. Even a basic savings account is better than nothing. Not invested in stocks or crypto. This money needs to be accessible. How to build it consistently. The pay yourself first method. Treat your emergency fund like a bill. The day you get paid, immediately transfer your emergency fund amount to savings. Even if it's $10 or 2,000 Nigerian Nairas. The round-up method. Every purchase you make, round up to the nearest dollar or 100 Naira and save the difference. Buy something for $12.34? Save 66 cents. The one less method. Skip one coffee, one lunch out, one movie ticket per week and redirect that money to your emergency fund. Automation is your friend. Set up an automatic transfer from checking to savings every payday. Make it a small enough amount that you won't notice it, but consistent enough that it adds up. Common mistake. Thinking you need thousands before you start. Wrong. Even $50 in emergency savings makes you more financially stable than 40% of Americans who couldn't cover a $400 unexpected expense. The psychology behind this. An emergency fund isn't just about the money, it's about the confidence. When you know you have something set aside, you make better decisions. You're less likely to use credit cards for emergencies. You sleep better. You have breathing space. Real talk. Building this fund will feel slow at first, especially when every dollar matters. But here's what happens. Once you hit that first $100, then $300, then $500, you start to see that saving is actually possible. You start to believe you can do bigger things. And here's the final thing I want to leave you with. Remember that an emergency fund isn't just about money. It's a statement of self-respect and belief in your future. When you carve out even the smallest amount, that 5,000 Nigerian Nairas, that $25, you're not just setting cash aside. You're telling yourself, I am worth protecting. My dreams are worth fighting for. My peace of mind is worth building one quiet dollar at a time. Because here's the secret most financial gurus don't tell you. The size of your emergency fund doesn't measure your worth. The fact that you start, that you decide to put even a little away, is proof that you're already on the path to change. It's not the thousands you hope to save someday. It's the habit you build today. So no matter how tight things feel right now, remember, every small step forward is an act of hope. Every dollar saved is a promise to your future self. You're not just surviving anymore. You're building something, slowly, surely, powerfully. Because in the end, the real goal isn't just to have an emergency fund. It's to know that when life tries to knock you down, you'll have the strength and the plan to rise again. And that is worth everything. You got this. Let's keep climbing together.